Hi everyone, and welcome back to Knot Weave Stitch. My name is Gisela, and in this week's episode we're going to look at where to get your fibre craft supplies from. I hope everyone's been having a good week and a nice summer so far. I'm just about to go into full swing Halloween autumn creation. I know some people will be thinking it's only August, but as us crafters know, we have to prepare much sooner. So I'm in the middle of content creation for needle felting, loom weaving, macramé, all based around autumn and Halloween. So that's going to keep me quite busy this month. So feel free to let me know in the comments if you're starting already, maybe even Christmas. I know that might sound crazy to some people, but I completely appreciate it takes ages to get everything ready. And by the time autumn swings round, those months fly past. So let me know in the comments if you're working on anything for the autumn and winter. But in this week's episode, we're going to look at where to get your fibre craft supplies from. So everyone obviously will have their own personal preferences. And if you have any good recommendations, again, let me know in the comments. I'm always really open to finding different places to shop if they've got a good deal or really good supplies. Then please do let me know. But I'm just going to give you a few of my favourites here and my recommendations of what I use. So the first one that I use is called the Thread Shop, and I use it predominantly for my macrame supplies, but you can also use it for things like crochet. But it's really good in terms of yarns and cords. So I really like the look of their recycled t-shirt yarn and their metallic t-shirt yarn as well. Really nice looking yarns they have there. They also have the different types of macrame cords, so things like the single twist, really nice for more decorative pieces, a little bit more delicate. But they also have the braided cord, so if you need a little bit more strength, they do also supply that. And I really like that a lot of these are recycled or a little bit more eco-friendly. So like I said before, they have the recycled t-shirt yarn, but they also have things like bamboo string, which is obviously a lot better for the environment as well. It's much more sustainable. So that's why I really like the Thread Shop. And even on their webpage, they also show the earth projects that they've funded. So I really like seeing kind of where their profits go to and what they are helping in terms of the environment and nature as well. So I really would recommend taking a look at the Thread Shop if you haven't used them before. They're also really good if you need a few accessories. So for macrame, I like to look at them to get different beads and wood rings, but they also do other types of beads and key rings as well. So really kind of more focused on things like macrame and crochet. But if you haven't, have a look at the Thread Shop. All of their yarns and cords, they do it in a whole range of different materials and colours, so it's well worth having a look at. The next one, I never know if I'm pronouncing it properly, whether it's Funem or Funem Studio, but I love them for my weaving. So I was very kindly gifted a circular loom kit from them with some different yarns and fibres, and it was gorgeous. I absolutely loved the textures of some of the yarns that I got. So if you're really into your weaving, I'd recommend having a look at them. So they have different yarns, different fibres. If you are into your needle felting, they do roving and carded wool as well. So I like to use their longer bits of wool in my weaving, particularly for like sumac braids, sumac plaits there. So that might be quite good to look at if you are into your weaving. But their items are good for a whole range. You could use it for weaving, needle felting, crochet, knitting, macrame, all sorts of things. But I would say particularly the weaving side of it, it's very good. And they do have different loom kits as well. That does include sometimes the yarns and fibres. So I'd have a recommend to have a little look at that. Another one that's particularly good for macrame and crochet is Bobini. And they are good in terms of their cords and yarns, particularly if you are looking at things like braided, single ply, 3-ply cords. So for me, I like to use that sometimes for my macrame cords. So I'd recommend having a look if you're into your macrame. Bobini is quite good, and they are sold also in different retailers as well. So that's one you might see quite often appear. One that I've actually just found quite recently is Tabby and Tweed. So this is great for weaving, and they have lots of different weaving looms. And you have your normal rectangular lap looms, you have smaller looms to make things like bookmarks, and the one that I am definitely going to get, or at least hope I'm going to get for my birthday, if not I'm going to treat myself, is a rigid heddle loom. So this is really good if you want to make things like scarves or table runners or things like a placemat. So I'm looking at one that is a Christmas kind of kit. So it comes with the loom itself, and it also comes with the yarns as well. So I'm looking forward to having a go with Tabby and Tweed supplies. If you've used it before, let me know what you think of them. But I've been having a look at their website recently, and I'm really interested in some of their looms and their loom kits. So do let me know if you have used it. If I do get my rigid heddle loom, or when I get my rigid heddle loom, I will let you know what I thought of it as well. But yeah, Tabby and Tweed looks really good for weaving. Then we have Hobbycraft, which is particularly good if you are a beginner or if you need a little top up on your supplies. And because they target a whole range of different crafts, that can be quite good for a fibre artist. So if you're looking at knitting, crochet, macrame, embroidery, things like that, they are really good at targeting a whole different range of crafts. For me in particular, I find that their macrame frames are quite nice, so they're really expanding the range there with their different metal frames. I've seen it in a heart shape, a flower shape, all sorts of different things, so that can be quite nice as a macrame base. They're also really good for books and patterns, so if you need a little bit of inspiration or if you want a bit of help, a step-by-step guide, they do have their books and patterns, particularly on things like knitting, crochet, macrame, really good to help you along. And they also have on their website a little idea section, and if you go onto there, they will have different crafts and step-by-steps with some photos as well. So if you want something to help you along to make your craft, I would recommend having a look at their ideas section as well. But if you haven't been in a Hobbycraft, they do have a lovely range of different yarns and cords, and particularly their threads as well. Their embroidery threads are really nice to look at, and their embroidery hoops. So I'd have a little look at that, particularly if you're a beginner or if you need just a top up of your supplies. It's a really good place to grab little bits and pieces that you need, or if you want a book or pattern to help you, then I'd highly recommend having a look at Hobbycraft. Of course, Amazon. You get pretty much everything at Amazon. So for me in particular, I like to get my macrame cord from there. So I get usually a multi-ply. I think it's usually a 3-ply one that I get from Amazon. So obviously if you need to pick up any random bits and pieces, might be like a macrame board or a needle felt kit to start off with, Amazon can be really good for a whole selection of things that you might not be able to get elsewhere or you're struggling to find. So failing all else, Amazon is usually a good go-to. And lastly, if you are looking at needle felting, the felt box is perfect for your needle felting supplies. So not only can you get a whole range of different types of felting wool, but you can also get the accessories, and I particularly like it for the specific needles that you can get for your felting. So if there's a particular gauge needle that you need, then I would have a look at the felt box, because that can be really good if you are wanting to go a little bit more into your needle felting. If you're now maybe past beginner stage and you want specific needles, then I would recommend having a look there. They're also really good for obviously other accessories, like if you need a new foam mat or something like that. The felt box does have both the wools, the felting wools, and the accessories to either get you started in needle felting, or also if you're a little bit more intermediate or advanced, it's a great place to top up on your supplies. Obviously, that's a very limited range of craft suppliers, because I only really focus on things like macramé, weaving, and needle felting. But if you do any other fibre crafts and you have any recommendations, please do let me know in the comments, and you can help others listening to this podcast. So if you are into your crochet or your knitting, punch needling, I'm really interested to hear from anyone if you have a recommended supplier for punch needling, because that's something that I'd like to get more into. I really enjoy punch needling. So if you have any experience in that area and you know of any good suppliers, please let me know. I'm always wanting to learn the best places or learn a bit more. But if you do macrame, needle felting, weaving, hopefully some of those recommendations will be useful to you. Or maybe you have your own recommendations for me and other listeners as well. So do let me know, particularly if there is one that I haven't seen before, or if they are a little bit more environmentally focused. I always try to think a little bit more about the environment, to be a bit more eco-friendly or sustainable. If we can use maybe more recycled materials, I'm always looking out for places like that. And also smaller businesses. It's always really good to support your smaller or local businesses. So if anyone's got any recommendations on that, please do let me know. This can be like a little community, a little episode here where we can give out our recommendations to each other, so we know which is the best places to hit, both online and in person. If there's any shops that you recommend in your local area, do let me know. But hopefully that episode was really useful. I always think it's a great thing to know when you get started where the best places to shop are. So I hope some of those were useful for you. In next week's episode, we're going to be looking at crafts where we can recycle, upcycle, reuse. We'll be thinking more about sustainability and being a little bit more eco-friendly in our crafting. I can't believe we only have 2 more episodes left in the first season. So thank you so much for joining me so far. If you've even just listened to one episode, I really do appreciate it. So thank you for all of your help and support with this podcast so far. I do hope you've been enjoying it. But for now, I will leave you to it, and I will see you in the next one.